Hi guys, welcome to Everything Websites. Today, my guest is Kevin Wong. He is a VP of Product Design in Webflow, and it's an honor having Kevin here, especially because he's a fellow designer like myself. So, Kevin, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Super excited to be here and talk to you about all things Webflow.
I'm also very excited, especially because we're going to talk about touch base on the Webflow Enterprise side. So I just want to kick this off and ask you. Um, I know that Webflow had a different perspective when it started, especially like for the smaller businesses oriented and stuff. So can you maybe run me through of how that transition happened from focusing on smaller businesses to the larger enterprise companies?
Yeah, I think that it's a really good question. At the heart of what we do at Webflow, our mission's still the same. We're trying to bring developer superpowers to everyone. And as we have seen, we have a lot of success in, providing no code, low code experiences for people who, we're looking for those kind of tools to help them build really amazing websites.
Mm-hmm.
And what we've seen is larger teams also want that same power. And people beyond just the designer sort of persona also care about it. So marketers and content editors and developers really like the value proposition of what we're trying to provide, which is doing more as if you didn't have an engineering team. And so we've grown our enterprise offering because we see how valuable it is, and that there's been a lot of traction on our end. So we've been thinking, about like what does it mean to be enterprise? Well, you have a team that you collaborate with. So we want to make sure that that experience is really awesome, and also more powerful tools because you want to be able to have an amazing scaled CMS because you have so much content that you
Yeah.
are trying to use and publish, as well as show on your website, as well as the features like being able to understand how your website's working and optimize it. So I think it's been really just an expansion of what we're doing overall, and we're trying to make sure as many of these capabilities are there for everyone.
Yeah, I agree. It's still Webflow has this edge. Didn't really focused only on enterprise. It's still there for everyone else, and we saw this newest update for the templates, which
Mm,
is really, I think,
yeah,
amazing feature. Um,
yeah,
yeah, and yeah,
95% revenue. So it's awesome.
yeah. I
So
didn't expect that, to
valuable.
be honest. I thought because there is a lot of AI growth and focusing, I didn't thought Webflow will do that. But yeah, uh, I guess it makes sense for you guys to do that.
I think the other thing that maybe some folks who are haven't quite experienced it, but for like larger businesses,
Mhm.
I think stability, reliability, and a solid platform also is what enterprises really care about,
Mm.
because these websites are so critical to their campaign or their main website that it just has to work all the time.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe some of the like unspoken or not always talked about and unseen parts of like supporting these larger companies, because the type of business that those websites rely on matters. And so we want to make sure that the uptime and the security and the scale also match the demand there. So I think there's like the feature side of it, and then there's definitely the platform side of it that we're super focused on and believe is important to our future too.
Yeah, I was also interested always. There are a lot of different platforms that people can use to build a website. Uh, Obviously, like the most popular one, WordPress. So how Webflow positioned in the beginning, how's positioning now towards these platforms like WordPress, I don't know, Framer even with the newest one, maybe even Lovable, but Lovable is kind of like a bit different.
Yeah.
But what is the stand for Webflow on that one?
Yeah, it's kind of funny how there's so many different tools and ways that people can make a website. And I think that what we really pride ourselves in is being this really tight integration of many different benefits. One is being able to have a lot of the same control and capabilities as an individual or as a small team. So, I think with WordPress, there's still a high dependency on having developers to really achieve the kind of vision that you have on the design and the content side. There's also the amount of plugins and updates and patches that you have to do, which is a cost of its own. And I think as a managed hosting service, we really try to take care of all of that for you, so you don't have to think about it,
Yeah,
and that you can focus on the job, which is marketing and reaching your audiences or your visitors and your customers.
yeah,
Um, oh,
yeah. Sorry. If you finish up, I'll add
yeah.
that one.
No, no, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to add up because I think that people look at Webflow like Apple in their industry, because yes, you don't want to spend time on focusing on you know constantly the thinking about is this updated? What's going to happen with this? If something happens, who do I reach out? You cannot reach out to WordPress support. You need to reach out to support of the people develop
Mhm.
that plugin and stuff like that. People don't want to think about it. They just
Yeah.
want a website to do its job, to
Mhm.
work, and so they can focus on marketing, just like you said.
Totally. Yeah, and we have a great team of customer success managers and solutions architects who are there to help you make sure that the way you want to set up your build, sustainably in the long term, are done the right in the right way the first time.
Mm,
And I'm really proud of the community of partners and freelancers that are Webflow experts. And if folks need additional help in that process, whether it's part of a redesign or ongoing support, I know this is something that like the WordPress community has and Framer, but I think that Webflow also stands out in terms of the amount of support and expertise that's
yeah.
out there. And so I think it just like really provides great degree of resources for people that need it and understand how critical their site is.
Yeah, I think Webflow community is great. I know that I learned everything I know about Webflow through Webflow's free stuff they provided, guys provided
Yeah.
on the YouTube especially. But I don't know if there was a Webflow University at the time. Maybe it was, but now it's very strong. You can learn everything that you need to know about Webflow for free, which I
Hmm.
think is really amazing. And everything is very smooth, guide you through the process. I think that's
Totally.
amazing stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
I think the other thing, last thing I'll mention is, in comparison to a lot of competitors, I think the creative control is really important, especially as a brand where you have maybe a design system in place and you have a lot of properties that you are managing. Maybe you have a single brand that is, distributed across many different regions, and you think about localization or um, personalization, or maybe that you just need to be able to have more control over how you want to change the like look and feel or how the content's presented. And I think that that's where Webflow really shines. It gives you that high degree of customization in order to really deliver on the vision that you want.
mm,
And I'm also excited about these like newer tools that we announced at Webflow conference, where we also see the power of how AI can speed
yeah,
up, especially the process of like initial brainstorming, app development, and making your website even more powerful. So we're super excited to bring that to market as quickly as possible, and I think that's going to really just change the way people think about their own website and what they can do with Webflow.
yeah. I was very excited for the AI features, especially because they were going in the right direction. It's not like many other platforms just do this prompt where you can just generate the website. I mean, it's good to have that as well, but I really like that it's a part of the workflow. It's just speed up your current process, working process. Especially love the part for the SEO. Hopefully, gonna more to come for that.
Totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That one's really nice.
Yeah. SEO is so
And
important, and like I think what I wanted to also like mention that didn't quite get enough screen time during Webflow conference was
mm,
our future code gen tools will work with your Webflow CMS and work with your design system. So the variables and the styles that you have already set up for your site will be a part of the code gen that you build as you build your apps. So that
nice.
one-to-one mapping and it being really familiar with or looking very seamless with the rest of your experience, I think is so important, and I think is really what helps differentiate from other tools that try to have that sort of design system in place. So that part I think is also what larger companies want is they want to be able to stack all of the ways that they're building with the assets that they already have at their disposal.
Yeah. Um, I want to bring back a bit on the enterprise as well. Again, I know that for enterprise, large companies, security is very important, privacy, all this stuff.
Hmm.
But what do you think? What problems enterprise clients trying to solve through Webflow platform?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm definitely not the security expert, so
Me too.
I'll try to maybe like speak to what I know. But I think what maybe matters is because you're working with larger teams,
Mm,
you want to make sure that the people who are working within Webflow have the right level of permissions and are able to make the changes that make sense to their roles. We put a lot of effort into things like granular roles and permissions, custom roles, and being able to define exactly like how you are trying to model the way your team collaborates together. And meanwhile, I think our base expectation is we want everyone working real time as close as possible because I think the market already shows that the fastest teams that move are the ones that win. And so we want to make those experiences as easy as possible, but having the right guardrails that make sense for your enterprise. We also, have the basics of things like SOC 2, SSO, um, as well as like an API and integrations to things like HubSpot, Salesforce, and Marketo. So, we're thinking at all levels of integration, security, compliance, and governance, so that teams feel more confident about the ways that they're using our platform.
yeah, yeah, I agree with this. I mean, I know there's a lot of use cases regarding the enterprises and how any actually type of companies are using it. But specifically for enterprises, I know that in my case, many companies think like, oh, we don't need this. Like it's fine, even if we have a tons of people working on the website
Hmm.
until some issue happened. For example, that we had in one case when someone published the website with something that shouldn't be published, and, and they would need to pull everything back and stuff. And like, okay, you see, I mean, for some companies, maybe it doesn't make sense. But if you do have a lot of people working on the same website, I mean, you really need it. Otherwise, it just really makes a lot of mess.
Totally. And that's where things like version control and audit logs are so important because then you can
Yeah.
quickly say, like, okay, that's what happened and here's who was involved. Now you know who to go to and you can debug and diagnose the situation. These things are bound to happen, but at least we want to, again, like give people the control so that they can solve it really quickly and reduce the impact that it has on their customers.
Yeah, I think that it's very good because you can now have one person that can do the publishing, and you can also do the updates that doesn't need to go live. I mean, you can do them separately. I forget the terminology for all this stuff, but I know that this is possible,
Hmm.
and that is crucial in my opinion because I know how important it is for any company of publishing what you want to publish at a certain point of time in
Yeah.
time. And this is important to know how to structure and organize your team.
Yeah, yeah, totally. It's those previews and staging environments before into prod, I think are super critical. These are standard practices that, we're glad to provide internally so that people feel confident about what they're building in that process.
Yeah, I know there is a lot of, I mean, a big part of enterprise companies that's coming to Webflow are B2B tech companies, I think. But do you think, and SaaS maybe as well, but do you think that e-commerce enterprises will be coming to the Webflow using it at some point? Or maybe they're already using it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that enterprise commerce is something that's top of mind for us, and we
Hmm.
do want to see how we can play a really important role there. I think we already have an e-commerce offering
Yeah.
that is out there. It works for some people, but we know that there's a lot more that we can do there, and so this is something we're definitely thinking about internally and believe is an important part of our future. So not much more to share beyond that, but
Yeah.
it is something that we think will require a good amount of investment. There's a lot we can do to provide a lot of value, and because I think larger enterprises do care about having that really great brand storytelling experience. They also care about answer engine optimization and being able to manage the SEO of their catalog so that they can reach people now that LLM chats are are growing in terms of
Yeah.
popularity. And I think that there's a lot of tools and a lot of need. Those who are running commerce experiences will look to us for.
Yeah. Yeah. There is a lot of things that probably are upcoming, especially for AO. I'm really looking forward to that one.
Mhm.
It's becoming very popular nowadays. Whenever I talk about this stuff, people are always interested. And I know that Webflow is investing in that. Do you think more things gonna come maybe soon for AO features on the Webflow?
Hmm. I
Yeah.
can't give timelines, but
I,
we
yeah.
definitely are focused on SEO tools, and we have a team that is thinking very deeply about ways that we can make sure that their sites are continually being optimized to make sure they show up in LLM chats and as the recommendation or as the answer. As there are a lot of different ways that is influenced. We have our AEO maturity framework that we publish on our site that walks through all of the different dimensions of what influences AEO and what you can focus on for each of the different levels. Part of it are some of the standard best practices like making sure your meta tags are up to date, you have alt tags, your content is refreshed, and you're looking at all of the right keywords for the types of themes or key terminology that you want to be associated with. It's also thinking about authority and how you think you are becoming the answer of choice for different sites. And being able to map your schema for your CMS content so that it is machine readable. So those are definitely like there's so much more depth that
Yeah.
we have
No.
to go through in terms of making those tools available for people, and so we want to keep doing that. As a ongoing investment.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's not only about the website, especially because they pull up information from many different uh, aspects and the platforms and stuff in order to provide the best possible answer. But yeah, Buffalo does have a pretty good role in website in general in all of this. You want to talk a bit about the migrations
Yeah.
and stuff? Uh, because you did mention one of the reasons why people choose, for example, Webflow or WordPress or some other platforms.
Mhm.
Um, but do you know maybe why would enterprise companies want to migrate from any other platform to Webflow?
Yeah, totally. I think if they're looking for control, scale, reliability, and to do that in a way that doesn't compromise on SEO. We've seen a lot of really successful customers come onto the platform. They're getting away from all the pain that I mentioned before, too much developer dependency, having to do a lot of their own administrative back end work, like keeping things up to date and patched. And then I would say too, the process has gotten a lot easier. We've seen so much great success with our MCP tools, which makes mapping and migrating all of the CMS content from whatever other platform that they are on today onto Webflow, preserving the links and preserving all of the metadata in a mere matter of moments instead of being a long and arduous process.
Mhm.
And so, and I think the last thing is a lot of the cost savings. There's a lot of hidden costs, even though some of the initial um, estimates about using alternative products seems really low in comparison to Webflow. But if you think about the total cost of ownership, is actually either highly comparable or comes in at lower cost. And so, you kind of have to think about what's your time worth
Yeah.
and where do you want to spend your time. And honestly, like I'd rather focus on the things that are more creative and more maybe revenue generating as a business than the maintenance that I think often comes with these other solutions.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, people always just look at the pricing for the platform itself. But like you said, it's not always, I mean, it's not only about that. You also need to, if you're on other platforms, you need to pay for developers, for who knows, a bunch of other stuff you need to pay for in order to maintain it. And probably most of the payment is on developers. And while in your in Webflow, you don't really need to do that. You can just focus on creativity and management. I mean, marketing in general, because marketing teams are generally the ones that uses the platform,
Hmm.
and you don't need to think about this other stuff, which makes it way more profitable on the long run. But if you're just looking at for hosting pricing only, yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, you can say that some other platforms are cheaper.
Totally. And I mean, some of the customers I've seen as much savings as like 6 million, and seeing a 6x increase in terms of their own productivity, meaning as a small team, they're able to push more updates and publish more changes and get sites out that much more faster. And I mean, time is money, and I think that's
Yeah.
also part of the value proposition that we're trying to get better at.
Yeah. Do you have maybe any use case that you can share with us today regarding migration to Webflow from some of the enterprise companies? I think you mentioned that you might be have, but I don't know if you're if you have it at this point.
Yeah, I mean, we love talking about like Orange Theory, and we actually have a lot of customer stories on our website. So if
Mhm.
you go to webflow.com/customer stories, you can actually see a lot of different folks who have shared, the success that they had migrating over from these other platforms. And so they've been, really great working with us because, what's interesting is that they're uh, a big brand, but they have a lot of sites that are very
Mhm.
localized to different regions. And so being able to move over the content and then allow a lot of flexibility to how each of the different stores located can make their own updates independently while still using the same set of primitives and components so that they're thinking less about the building blocks. They have all of those pieces for them,
Yeah.
but are able to focus on who their instructors are, the classes that they offer, and making sure that they're driving more signups. And that's been just game changing for them. And I think is really the kind of workflow that they've been wanting to have at the scale that they work at.
Yeah. I mean, I know that a lot of companies are migrating their marketing part of the website. But from your experience, do they also, I mean, larger companies, do they also migrate the whole website with platforms or something, or is just purely marketing part?
So what do you mean by like the whole website?
Because some of them do have some complex backend system and stuff like that, which they, in some cases, prefer to keep it whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't know. I mean, probably depends on the website complexity, but do they also sometimes all of that transfer to Webflow, or just keep like the front end part of it?
Yeah, I think that it kind of depends on the business. I would say
Yeah.
maybe for SaaS products, we're not quite there yet, though I think there's been tremendous amount of interest now that we are introducing things like code components and
Hmm.
AppGen, which I think start to bridge the developer code base with Webflow even
Yeah.
closer.
That's what I
We
know.
have DevLink, which it connects to your development team or your engineering teams GitHub, and you can actually now start to like build in those React experiences into Webflow and vice versa. So
Hmm.
I think we're getting there, but there's still a ways to go in terms of having those systems talk to each other and thinking more deeply about functionality. I think for some like sites that are maybe more of what I just mentioned with Orange Theory, where that is sort of the whole experience of having an inventory of gyms, being able to manage signups and connect it to maybe other back end services and having those integrations, like managing your customer accounts and controlling like the email and um, other sort of like marketing lifecycle processes that
Hmm.
where we're not quite like the full end-to-end suite in that case, but really a critical part that connects with and composes with other systems.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Okay, makes sense. Um, what I mean, do you know what kind of maybe do no, I mean these companies what kind of challenges they might facing maintaining brand consistency across the markets? How they um, how they use the Webflow in that kind of sense for different localizations, different markets. Does Webflow make this whole stuff simpler to manage? How this works for them?
Yeah, this is part of our bread and butter. You know, being able to encode your brand design system is so important
Mm,
for many reasons. One is, so how does it work today? We have tools like being able to manage your variables and different modes for those variables. So these are things like your styles, your typography, spacing.
mm,
Um, these are sort of the fundamental building blocks of how you like visually present your site. They're also the components, which are all the actual like building blocks, like a button and a list and like pricing cards, and then like page templates. So all of those are wrapped in libraries, which makes it really shareable, and you can have any number of libraries for your brand. One library can be one brand versus another brand if you're a multi-brand, uh, uh, you know, conglomerate. Um, the and so we also have like assets that are part of those libraries too. So if you're using the same kind of imagery or icons, that becomes very portable. So I think that the tools are there that helps
mm,
teams define what is reusable, just like Lego blocks. You have a set of these blocks that you can now really just lay out and compose whatever is needed for the purpose of your site. And I think that as a marketer, you're able to, think more about the story that you're telling or the goals that you have for the site and be able to pull in the pieces as necessary.
yeah.
The power of having these primitives or these pieces really defined within Webflow is then you think about how AI can start to understand that system and then pull those in and help you in that process of composing and generating sites so that you're able to move even quicker. And so I think there's a really important investment in foundational relationship there that we think is really important in the long term.
Hmm. Okay. What I mean, we did touch base a little bit on AI, but I just want to ask. I mean, mm, how? I mean, does AI play a crucial role in enterprise content operations? Do they really use these options a lot, or still trying to work around it? And maybe more, it's more of a human touch. What is your experience in that area?
Yeah, I think that AI, I think there's a huge amount of interest, curiosity. I think
Mm,
people are trying to figure out how that works for them. And I think what we found is customers are kind of all over in terms of the spectrum of, let's say, like their level of adoption and the level of fluency that they have with using AI. And so I think for us, we want to provide as many of the tools that can make their job easier and also use it in ways that you don't even have to like think about the fact that it's AI. For example, a lot of some of the localization features that we have, being able to translate the content and the copy on a site to match the language of that version of who you're presenting to the user. That is powered by AI, machine learning, that flavor, and
yeah.
it doesn't matter that it's like generative or not. What what people care about is just really fast and accurate at saying the message the way you want to be presented. Um, there's also AI in terms of how you can optimize your site, and we're
Mm,
able to deliver the winning version over the one that's not as effective or converting as much. Um, so I think AI is important, uh, and we want to bring a lot of the promise of that technology as quickly as possible. I think the thing that we want to do is be intentional about it actually being valuable, because I think we want to go beyond a demo, and we talk a lot about from prompt to production. That production piece is a very high bar, because again, enterprises, their brand equity, their brand value is a lot, like materially worth a lot. And so it's important that we don't screw it up for them. And so we want to be we want to be very confident that what we put out there is going to work for not only everyone, but especially for these larger enterprise customers.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense because, um, yeah, they have much more to lose than someone else. So we need to be sure that everything works properly before launching it and pushing it live.
Mm.
Um, I think one thing that, because I really liked what you guys did with this title tag and meta description. But I think I would like to see is maybe because it's auto generated right now, right? And
Mhm.
it would be nice if we can have an option to add a keyword, for example, primary, so that it can revolve around that keyword. Maybe that can be one of the next updates. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I'll let the team know.
Yeah. I mean, from time to time I do write the feedback or the recommendations for this tiny but mighty updates because I think
Yeah,
I love that one the most. Uh, and yeah, I don't know. From my experience, I mean, these tiny but mighty updates are the most impactful ones.
yeah.
There's a lot of these small updates that were coming out throughout the year and made a huge difference in many different fields.
Absolutely. I mean, we're always listening, and I agree. We got to do both. There's like
Yeah.
big new features that we're trying to introduce, and there's also all of the important details that not only matter a lot and can save you time, but also um, like add just like so much more value and solve a real problem. And we need both.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Uh, do you, I mean, can you maybe share what's on the roadmap for the enterprise, for Webflow in general on, for example, for the next year? What is the thing that you would guys maybe focus on? I know you cannot share details, but something.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be a lot more of what we've discussed at or shared at Webflow conference. So
Mm.
we care really deeply about scalability, compliance, security, and reliability. This year has been a good reminder of how important it is that we are always up and always available for our customers because, and that's all customers from agencies and studios to those who are like managing and running big brands. Uh, no one can lose time being able to produce or make changes to their site or deliver something to the client. So that is really important to us. And thankfully, our hosting services do not impact the actual site.
Yeah.
Those are all running, and I think that was by design. And so we will definitely want to make sure we're doing better and exceeding the expectations of what it means as a builder. We're
Mhm.
also we care a lot about collaboration, scale. We just announced the next generation CMS, uh, which is going to. I mean, I would say like I'm trying to remember the numbers, like 5x the number of like items. So you can
Mhm.
actually have 1 million collection items on your site,
That's
which
nice.
is huge. 500,000 items per collection, which is
Hmm.
up from like I want to say 20 odd thousand. I think this is really meaningful because um, for bigger companies, our enterprise that have a lot of content that they're trying to house
Yeah.
and scale, that matters. And so that is important. Collaboration, we're rolling out real time, so allowing for more people to work together simultaneously. This is, the expectation of all creative tools, and we want to deliver that as quickly as possible. And then I'd say just more controls to be able to be creative. And that may be a combination of both AI as well as tools that humans will use in order to craft the experience, in order to make those marketing pages and those websites really sing.
Hmm. I know that for CMS, I mean, my agency, for example, didn't use a lot, maybe just a few thousand. But I think I know that some other agencies even build websites with 100,000 CMS items without any issues in Webflow. Now
Mhm.
pushing it to what million would be really amazing.
Yeah.
Um, and by the way, um, when is planned to for Webflow to migrate to Cloudflare like fully? Because you're still guys in the process of migrating.
Yeah, I can't speak to a specific date. I don't have that off the top of my head,
Mhm.
but
But
I
maybe like
think
in
we're
a
trying
year.
to be. Yeah, I can speak to just the fact that we're migrations and rollouts
Mhm.
are really sensitive processes. So we
Mhm.
want to make sure that every time we are doing that and as we roll it out, it is done in a careful way and has the least amount of interruptions. So I think we're just being very methodical and very certain about it because again, like reliability is so important.
Yeah.
I don't know when it will be fully done, but it is actively a process that we are paying attention to.
Yeah. Awesome. Because I'm mainly asking because AWS is now becoming unstable, as we can see, not
Yeah.
only for Webflow but for other companies. Uh, Nothing to but still, I think we're going to the Cloudflare would be much more stable.
Mm,
But even with whatever happened, let's say like this one small thing that Webflow had, still, I mean, I know that for all my clients, but I heard from others that all the websites that were live, they stayed live. None of the websites crashed. So
mhm,
even if the platform itself, like AWS, the cloud, was not that uh, on point at this moment in time, still we could rely on Webflow to keep the websites up and running and not affecting it at all, which I think it was amazing. And I know that team provided a lot of effort in order to solve this issue. But I just wanted to address it because we should also address even highs and lows all the time.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I think there's um, a lot of levels and layers to hardening our platform, and that's part of the reason why that focus has been what we've been prioritizing for the last few months, and will continue to do ongoing. Because again, yeah, it's um, all platforms inevitably will experience some kind of interruption or some kind of uh, just threat or downtime. And so it's really our ability to respond quickly and
Yeah.
effectively. I think that that is going to be our measure of um, you know our own growth and maturity as a company as well. And I think the
Mhm.
team takes it really seriously.
I think I saw on LinkedIn that you guys are also going to have like offices in EMEA region, maybe some other regions as well. Is that mostly for like support purposes, or what was I don't know how much you know about this stuff, but I just want to know because it sounds interesting. Because I think I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong. I heard that, for example, in US, people can even reach out to support via their phone number, but
Mm.
not in other regions. So my question, I guess, is the main reason of, for example, having an office in EMEA region mostly for support purposes or something else?
I think we're expanding where we can see growth and
Mm.
it's not necessarily support. It's more like growing our sales organization, and
Okay.
we want to be able to be where the customers are. In terms of contact and how to reach us, I think the best thing you can do is use support at webflow.com
Yeah.
and we'll do the routing. But beyond that, yeah, I can't speak to just exactly how our support strategy works.
Yeah, no, I know. I was just intrigued by this thing. I mean, it was something I heard a long time ago. I don't know if that's still a thing, but anyway, the chat works perfectly, so that's I didn't have any issues with that.
Yeah.
Um, but earlier we spoke about this low code and no code options. But for example, what's your perspective on how enterprise will use low code and no code in a few years from now, especially with all this growth in AI and the platforms like Webflow?
Yeah. I mean, I think we're seeing more and more interest and excitement and curiosity in terms of building out, I would say, just experiences and being able to publish that as quickly as possible. The the rate in which I'd say like marketing teams are trying to reach their customers or their visitors and audiences is only going to be increased in terms of pace. And so I think teams are looking for as many different tools or set of tools that allows them to do that effectively. And so I think for us, there's providing those tools and workflows, but also providing that platform. This is where Webflow Cloud is really exciting because
Hmm.
it provides a way for people to host, apps that maybe have generated onto our own services, and then also have that be integrated and linked to their site if they're using Webflow. So I think just providing as many of these options as possible in a fast changing market. I think I'm really excited to see what kinds of things people are building over
Yeah.
time, because I think things like CodeGen and AppGen, they're allowing more people to now become builders, and I think that that means you're going to have a lot more ideas that um, people are going to discover and will be emergent in that way. Similar to how the phone gave everyone a camera, and then suddenly everyone is now a photographer. And
Yeah.
from that process, we've seen a lot of growing pains and a lot of like, well, is that professional or not?
Yeah.
And I think from that experience, like we've seen a new emerging segment of people that are professional in their own right and have carved out their own market and have reached people in creative new ways that weren't conceivable before. So I think that's something in the long term we're all maybe just being open-minded about, and I think really it's about building those tools and being the preferred way people want to create and want to manage and scale those creations. I think is really what we want to be the best at.
I think what I love the most is that Webflow is also turning towards conversion optimization platform, especially with Webflow Optimize and Webflow Analyze. Um, well, I didn't explore too much in that aspect,
Hmm?
but the, are you guys going to also introduce more of the features and in towards that direction as well?
We're always looking at ways we can make the optimization experience or personalization experience better, and I think that means making it even faster to be able to launch
Mhm.
something, and also just the level of control over what you get to personalize. So there's the copy and the assets. There's more we can do in terms of the sections and the pages. There's really all levels of the design and the content that we want
Yep.
to you know make it easier, both in terms of the control but also how quickly you can generate those variants. So those are things that we know people want, and we're also thinking about.
Yeah, I think it's great that everything is becoming a part of this one ecosystem. Well, again, like Apple, which is great because you don't need to mess around with connecting, integrating everything. So whatever happens, all is in one platform. Super easy to start, super easy to work with. I think that's what I love the most. And in my experience, clients prefer that. They prefer this
Mhm.
kind of, I wouldn't call it luxury, but they need to feel comfortable using all of this stuff and not to be afraid of if
Mhm.
something going to happen or break or stuff like this. So this kind of
Yeah,
safety is important.
yeah, it's like there's that feedback loop where you literally can see what you've done, and even
Yeah,
though you're creating all of these variants and they're
you don't need to
becoming
switch platforms and go to somewhere else to
right,
check,
right.
and like everything is
You don't want
there.
to lose that thought, and yeah, you
Yeah,
want to be able to intuit really quickly and turn
yeah.
on a dime as needed.
And in case if you just decided to want to change something, you can just do it right away,
Mhm.
or go to CMS to do there. You just don't need to constantly switching, checking, and yeah, I think I also prefer that.
Yeah,
Or
and
yeah,
it's also your team too. It's like, oh, what tool
yeah,
are you in, and can I have access to that? Well, can you help me provision? It's like, well,
yeah.
I'll just use Webflow, and it's just one platform.
Yeah, it's just everything is so seamless and also stable, so there is no issues with that. But I think that's why people will be using it more and more. It's just to start, because I know from my experience that not a lot of people are aware of all of this stuff. They are not aware people have Webflow has this. They just know Webflow is for building websites and like that's it. Until you need to guide them through the process.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's really spot on. I think there's, you know, things that we built, in the past year and year and a half, which are still fairly fresh, and I think it is important that we get the word out. And why building these customer stories is so important. We want to really show the impact that
Yeah.
this has on businesses, and it should be uncompromising that you have a beautiful site that also converts. And I think
Hmm.
those two things don't have to be at odds. I think they're actually things that can work together.
Hmm. I really like the customer stories because I work with conversions, so I know that the trustworthiness is number one thing. So yeah, it's very important to have them, and it's also nicely done.
Yeah.
Um, but do you think the Webflow will become the standard for enterprise marketing websites at some point in future?
I sure
Or
hope
maybe
so.
it's already?
Yeah, I sure hope so. Yeah, we want to be the standard for any digital experience in the long term, where we are able to help you because we understand your brand, we have amazing creation tools, and that you can go here, work with your team to provide the best way to message, position, and engage your own audience or your visitors. So I think that is like the long term, vision that we have, and I think that there's just a lot of work to get there. And I think marketing sites and being able to do that with the intent of what the marketer has in their minds should be as easy and as frictionless as possible. And so and I also think to be able to do that not only for their human visitors or the humans that are visiting their site, but also in the inevitable future that LLMs and bots are also crawling sites, and more of that traffic is being crawled by agents on behalf of those
Yeah.
people. And I think that is an important part of how we're also thinking about making these sites valuable. It's being able to be readable, to be interactive, and to be useful for these two, let's say, segments. And I think that feature is one that we're also preparing for.
I see a lot of changes in uh, when the all this AI thing started, how websites changed, how the people started to include beside schema starting to become very important. People also include more FAQs,
Hmm.
uh, button summaries for articles, uh, TLDRs, all these kind of sorts, which I know websites didn't have before, and now uh, it's becoming like a must in order for you to position properly on AI search.
Hmm.
I know there is nothing. Maybe it will be some point, but there's nothing like native in Webflow to support this. But you can still build it. I mean, there is no limited limit to this stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Um,
I
yeah,
think that's where things. I've been really excited to see folks who have been using code components to do some of this. Make it like
yeah.
really easy. Templates for things like FAQs and having that
Mm.
be shareable. And that's what I love about the community is because they're using the tools that we have, finding solutions, and then making that available for everyone, so that we're all able to progress and evolve as technology evolves, and make sure that the customers that we have are always at the edge and don't fall behind.
I think I got one idea. I mean, for all you people that listening that build a website, build templates for Webflow, maybe it's time to build one template for conversion rate optimization. I know there is everybody's focusing only on like pretty stuff, nice animations, unique stuff. I think because I know there's a lot of people coming that want to focus on conversion, but maybe they don't have a budget to pay for a whole team or an agency or whoever, and they
Mhm.
want to maybe even learn by themselves. So maybe it's not a bad idea to build a template, conversion oriented template. I think that would be awesome to see.
Yeah,
Or maybe
totally.
there is. I didn't saw it. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah. I think there are some, and the marketplace is so rich with,
Yeah, now it's much richer than before. It's like so many people are building it.
yeah.
Okay, we're closing to the end of this, I just want to ask you, um, is there anything that you would like to say to the people that wanna learn more about Webflow or explore more about the enterprise solutions or just Webflow in general?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of amazing resources on our website that we relaunched on Webflow. And I think it's a really great just showcase of the kind of site that you can build using our platform. And we're really proud of being able to do that both rapidly as well as build just something really beautiful. We have sites made for especially enterprises. So check out webflow.com/enterprise /platform to learn more about all of the offerings that we just barely scratched the surface on, and then customer stories, where we also have a lot of great content on answer engine optimization or AEO on our blog. We have also some webinars, great content about the framework that I just mentioned. Check that out. I think we want to provide as much resources and tools and insight into how we're seeing the market evolve, so that everyone can be ready for it. And when the time comes, they can come to us. We're more than happy to help make sure that you as a customer are set up for success. We have a team standing by, and yeah, we're excited about the transitions and
Mm,
the um, innovation that's happening. And as a company, we've been all in on making sure that we become experts ourselves and are learning as much as well as improving the platform day to day, from security, compliance, stability, which we know is incredibly important, as well as just providing better tools now that more folks are becoming AI native.
amazing. I know that I appreciate very much for everything that Buffalo is doing because obviously not just my agency, but there are many other agencies, freelancer people that build their whole business models around Webflow, and
Mhm.
I think we're all grateful for that. And I know that one time someone asked me on LinkedIn, like, "Why are you talking about Webflow all the time? Like, are they paying you?" And I was like, no, I mean, it's just, I mean, indirectly they are because I have this option now to build an agency around it. And thanks to the Webflow, so I just feel like it's then almost natural to also, speak everything and not just nice thing, like to be real about the platform, and which is really amazing platform.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, thank you. It's
yeah.
honestly huge to have you and others, building these agencies. I think that is the big unlock, because I think redesigns, rebuilds, and building in general is oftentimes a high risk, scary
Yeah.
process. And I think you want to have trusted people that are
Yes.
knowledgeable and care deeply. And I think what you just said is really, I don't know, like, that's why we got into design in the first place. Like,
Mm,
we care about building really amazing things that help people. And I think that when you have that kind of just passion and motivation and desire, it really shows in the work. And so being able to support you and to grow, help you grow your business and other partners and agencies grow their business is very important to us too. So
thank you so
we want
much.
to make sure that you're successful.
Thank you so much. I mean, I like what you said. This is like a scary process for most people. Like building your own website. Most of them are looking at the website like they're babies, and
Hmm.
they really need skilled professional people guiding them through the process smoothly.
Hmm.
So the more people that are interested in Webflow and putting their all in all of this, I think it would be just better place and will push all of us to improve even
Hmm.
the Webflow as a platform.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the community is amazing, and yeah, I think a lot of great stuff is coming up next year, which of course we cannot say, but I mean, yeah. Okay. Anyway, Kevin, thank you so much for being part of this talk. Maybe for the end, you can just tell a couple of things where people can find you, follow your, whatever your story, your uh,
Yeah.
your posting, everything.
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, Kevin Wong, or at KV Wong, WNG. It's the same handle or username on X or Twitter. I still type Twitter in the URL to go there, and it redirects me.
Yeah, everybody
Um,
calls it Twitter now.
so you can find me on both platforms. Feel free to reach out. Happy to answer any questions.
Awesome. Again, thank you, and see you guys next time.
Thank
Cheers.
you.